The first thing a model needs to know about intellectual property is the fact that you would hardly actually own them. And this is not really bad news per se. It does not mean that there's no intellectual property that you can own. It's that in practice, in the course of your work, you would hardly own anything. Now, to explain my point further, I'll mention different kinds of intellectual properties. The first is trademark. Trademark is basically the law of branding, the intellectual property rights that protects branding. Now, the thing with trademark is that as a model, your primary job is not to create content. Your job is to be a highlighter, or better yet, a projector of other people's products for end consumers. So you are not really a middleman per se, you're just a projector, and because of that, you're going to be treated rather like a canvas, like a blank canvas that the brand or the photographer is using, or maybe if it's video, a videographer is using. And because of that, you cannot really be said to own the content or even the identity, the brand identity, whether logo, name, whatever kind of trademark that particular brand owns. You cannot be said to own anything in the process of modeling anything, because you're not modeling your own stuff. Now with copyright is basically the law that protects your right in content. Like I said, with trademark, you don't necessarily own the content that you are projecting to end consumers, and so because of that, you cannot be said to own the rights in them, the intellectual properties in them. Then we have trade secrets. Basically, you barely have any trade secrets involved in that process of being a model. You have patent. Patent is basically technological innovations. Okay, you're a model. I wouldn't say you're just a model, because modeling is a big thing, but in that particular should I say assembly line, you are just a projector. Then it's similar for industrial design as well. Industrial design is basically the law that protects the design of products in whatever form, most likely physical form, right? Now, as a model, it's very possible that you own your own brands where you give services, you probably create products, and it's possible that you are also a content creator. But in a strict sense of the word, a model is not the same as a content creator. A model is someone that projects. And so if you are a model, you cannot be said in most cases to own intellectual property. However, this is not just me bringing bad news. You can control the intellectual property that you are a part of. So the intellectual property that you contributed to its creation, let's say for instance, it's an advert, a video advert, right? And you were a model there, or a music video, or a photo shoot. Regardless of what it is, as long as you're a part of it, you can control the use of your contribution. Your contribution is most likely your image, or it could be your voice, or it could be maybe your dance, movement, whatever it is. You can actually control that. And your weapon of choice in this particular scenario is a model release form. What exactly is a model release form? A model release form is basically a contract that you sign with whoever it is that is getting your services as a model. And it's basically you saying that this rights, I give it to you. You have the rights to use my face, you have the rights to use my voice, or whatever, like a video footage of me to promote your brand, to basically be a part of your project that you're working on. But a model release form is not just a simple paper just saying that, oh, I agree to whatever it is you want to do. It actually has a lot of things in it. But before I go into the content of a model release form, I would like to talk about what usually happens many times, and that is that a lot of times it's the brands that will want to give you contracts for you to sign. So you can have a model release form, but you have to have that back of your mind that, okay, even if they don't want to sign my own based on maybe negotiating power, like between you and them, maybe there's like a power imbalance. If you are in a position where you have to sign their own documents, then ensure that the terms in your model release form are reflected in whatever contract that they present to you. So no matter the nature of the contract, if it's a 1-page contract, a 10-page contract, ensure that the terms of your model release form that you already have is actually reflected there. At least the intention of your form should be reflected in the contract that you're signing. So just have that at the back of your mind. Now, bringing it back to the model release form, what are those terms that have to be in any contract that you sign? What are the terms that should be in your model release form for you to be able to protect how your image, how your voice, how your actions and any footage is being used? And the number one thing is actually, surprisingly, is the parties to that contract. So now, as a model, you are the number one party, right? Because you are the one giving out your rights. Basically, you are releasing yourself. Yeah, it's a model release form, right? You're the first party. But here's the trick about that. Are you a minor? Now, a minor is somebody that is below the age of 18 in Nigeria. So if you're a minor, you actually do not have the right to give up your own, you don't have the right to sign a model release form and then give it to somebody else to sign, and then you guys will work together. You actually need your guardian to sign for you. This means that whatever contract that you sign, even if the other people sign it, it can be voidable. Voidable means that it is possible that if you guys enter into a conflict or whatever, something happens, something goes wrong, and you go to court, the court can say, this contract that you sign, I'm throwing it away. It's going to be like it never existed. That is a possibility. That's what voidable means. It means that it is possible that the contract can be discarded. And I'm sure you don't want to waste your time signing a contract that you cannot enforce, a contract that you cannot use. So the first thing you should have at the back of your mind in a model release form is that, are you a minor or are you an adult? If you're a minor, make sure you have somebody who is a guardian or a parent sign on your behalf. And if you're in that kind of situation, ensure that you actually understand the contract that you are signing or you are agreeing to before you approach your guardian to sign it, because chances are your guardian may not really understand your industry, may not really understand the terms. And this is why you have to involve a lawyer into that particular mix. So it's not just enough for your guardian to sign on your behalf, but you need to have a lawyer to be able to advise you and your guardian on what exactly it is you are signing, what exact rights you are signing away, what responsibilities you are inheriting, and things like that. Then on the same issue of parties, the second side of it is, who are you signing the contracts with? Are you signing with a photographer, or are you signing it with a brand that needs your services? So when I say a brand, I'm not saying photography is not a brand, but I'm saying that the photographer may have been hired by the brand to take your picture, or the videographer or music video director rather, may have been hired by somebody else. So you have to be very clear, who are you entering into this agreement with? Now, if you're entering into it with a photographer, what has the other party agreed to? Because you may say, okay, I don't want to use my pictures in so and so kinds of videos. The photographer will take the pictures, you enter into the contract photographer, but by the time they are giving it to somebody else, the other person may decide to use it for something that you didn't agree to. So it's very important that you at least understand the people that you are entering into this particular agreement with. Is it just the photographer? Is there a third party? Is it possible for you to communicate your terms and conditions, your model release clauses, to these other people that will eventually use it? So that's very important. And all this I'm saying is just in parties. There's still another part of this whole parties issue. The person that you are entering into the contract with, whether directly with the brand or with a middleman, photographer or videographer, or person creating this content for them, are you entering it with the actual person's correct name? Or do you have the particular person's address? Do you have all the information in that parties clause of the contract? Is it correct? If it's a company name, are you using their popular brand name or nickname, or are you using the actual company correct name as it was registered with the company registry? Or you have to be very clear on these things, because if Kasala Boss, if something goes wrong, can you trace them? Can you be able to reach out to them, say, hey, I need you to fix this, or hey, I'm suing you for so and so? It's very important. So it's not just important for them to write the name that they are known by. It's also important for you to write a name that you can use to reach out to them if something goes wrong. And that's just for the parties. There are many other clauses. I would like to go through all of them, but for the rest of the video, I'll just pick a few to talk about, and I'm hoping that you can actually reach out and follow Larry's Cafe on all platforms to find out what all those other things are. You can actually also ask questions in the comment section. So now the next thing I would like to talk about, the next clause in this model release form, will be the scope of usage. So how exactly are they going to use your work? So are they going to use it for a month? How long are they going to use it? They're going to use it for years, and that's just for time. Where exactly are they going to use it? Is it a Nigerian brand that is only going to display or advertise this thing within Nigeria, or are they going to use it around the world? Are they going to have the freedom to use it around the world? And then you also have to ask, how do you want them to use it, right? Can they take that clip and put it in a pornographic setting? Can they take it and put it in a particular setting that maybe your faith does not align with? So you have to be very clear on certain things. What kind of music are they using it for? For instance, let's say you are not a person of faith and they are putting it into a religious setting. Will you be comfortable with that? So that's just part of what the scope of work, part of a usage clause is saying that, okay, I want my stuff on social media. I don't want it on traditional media. I don't want to be on TV. I don't want to be on billboards, but I'm okay with being on social media, right? I'm okay with being on the internet. Or you can say, I want to be everywhere else except the internet. I want to be in this particular country. I want my stuff to only be used in certain settings and at certain times for this amount of time. Then the next thing to actually negotiate in your model release clause will be the nature of the project. So what kind of project are they doing? How long, or not how long, rather like the type of project. So an extent, this is also covered under the scope of usage rights, basically. So, but it's very important that you understand what it is they're doing, so you don't go and enter into something strange. You don't get into trouble, because I know a lot of models are quite young, so there are certain things that you don't want to be associated with at a very young age. But even for people older, I'm sure you have your principles, I'm sure you have your biases, your faith, and different things. So you have to be very careful about that. Then another important clause I want to talk about is the governing clause. So like I said earlier, if something goes wrong, what next, right? If something goes wrong and you have to enforce this particular contract, let's say they decide to break it, they do something wrong, or like they do something that you did not approve of in that particular contract, in that's your model release form, what exactly are you going to do? Which court are you going to go to? So basically, what is the venue of dispute resolution that is contained in your model release form? What kind of laws are governing it? Are those laws favorable to you? You don't know, it could be a particular country that has maybe anti-feminist laws where they treat women less than men. Are those the laws that you want to be governing a contract that you sign? So you have to be very particular about these things as well. And then even down to approving certain things. But that's by the way. Now the last one I would actually like to talk about is your termination. If something happens in the future, would you like to be able to end the contract with them before maybe the particular scope of work has been exhausted? And if you end the contract with them, what next? Are you going to refund them? Or are you going to do something? Are you going to do another job for them? Or basically, how exactly are you going to end that particular contract if you decide to do so? So all this and much more are things you're supposed to explore when you are preparing a model release form. But this is something that is going to be very difficult for you as a model to do on your own. So I would beg you, please don't just generate something generic on the internet or using AI. Please consult a lawyer in the country that you are in, because not all countries have the same laws. So find a lawyer, consult with them. And honestly, depending on the nature of your work, there are lots of lawyers that do pro bono work. So you may be lucky, even if you get a very expensive lawyer, they may be willing to do it for free for you. They may be willing to go through your contracts for free for you. And I'm not saying get a law student. You get, be very clear about that. I'm not asking you to get a law student. I'm not asking you to get just anybody from any random country. You have to be very specific. Yes. So have this at the back of your mind, because modeling is serious business, and this is basically your guide to intellectual property as a model. This is just step one. You're going to get more and more from Larry's Cafe. But yes, thank you for watching this video. If you know anyone that's interested in this, share with them. Bye.